I'm attempting to do what everyone said was impossible. Make $100 an hour playing low stakes poker. Over this 10 episode series, I'll be playing 1-3 at my local card room, The Fort, to try and achieve a whopping 33 big blinds per hour. Today, I'm sitting down with $1,000 and a dream to do the unthinkable. We're gonna need some luck on our side, which is why you definitely won't want to miss the end of this video as we make quad kings and hope to get paid. In the first hand of the night, there's a few limps over to me in the big blind and I open up pocket jacks for 20 bucks. We end up getting two customers off to a flop three ways out of position, which comes queen 6-6 rainbow. When I start with a check, both my opponents check behind, bringing in the 5 of clubs on the turn. When they both check on the flop, I want to go for value with my pocket jacks. I want to target other pocket pairs, maybe some ace high club flush draws, etc. So I bet out for 30 bucks. We lose one customer, but the cutoff puts in the call, bringing in the 7 of clubs on the river. I really hate this card because it brings in the obvious club flush, but also some straights as well. I check it over to the opponent and he bets out for $50. Super small here. He's saying he has a good hand and I have to respect it. Pocket jacks is just a bluff catcher and I'm not trying to do that the first hand of the night and the first hand of the series, so I fold my cards. The opponent graciously shows us that he did make the nut flush. Ace 3 of clubs gets there on the river and this series isn't off to a great start. Next hand, I open up pocket sixes to 15 bucks and get two callers. Off to a flop three ways, which comes jack, 8, 6, bang, we flop bottom set. I lead out for 30 bucks into this pretty wet board. I mean, there's some straight draws, some flush draws, some two pair combos there, and we're gonna get called in one spot. Heads up to the turn we go with Scott on the button, which comes another interesting card, the 9 of hearts. I think because there's two clubs on the flop and I have bottom set, I still want to go for value here and I bet out for 80 bucks. It is starting to get pretty scary, especially when Scott calls once again and the river card comes a club. So back-to-back hands where the clubs come in on the river. I'm going to check it over to Scott and see what he does. I don't really expect him to bet unless he has a pretty good made hand, something like a straight, a better set, or a flush. And sure enough, he fires out for 150 bucks, putting me in a really gross spot.
Oh, that's not very fun.
I have a good hand. I have pocket sixes. That's a set. It's hard to make a set in no limit hold'em, but when Scott bets this river after calling the flop and turn, multi-way on the flop, I must add, I just don't think my sixes are good, and if I have any hope of making $100 an hour, I have to zig when my opponents zag, and I think that's what's going on here. I decide to fold my cards, but unfortunately Scott doesn't show his, so we'll never know if this was a great fold or a terrible one.
I'm doing a series in Texas at my card room. I'm playing 1-3 for 100 hours. Do you think it's possible for me to make around 33 big blinds an hour, so $100 an hour?
Yeah, I think so.
Well,
I mean, obviously, it depends on who you're playing with.
Yeah,
right.
It's Texas fun players.
Yeah, there you go. I think it can be done.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
All right.
Okay. And
all right, off to the next hand we go. Let's try to build some momentum with 9-10 of clubs. Brandon puts the $10 button straddle on, which here at the Fort means he has ultimate last action. It's a super strong move, and everyone pretty much does it when they have the opportunity. And so I have to make it pretty large here. I make it $35 to go. The small blind puts in the call, and the action's on Brandon. He wants to play for more, $80 to be exact. Actions on me. I have 10-9 of clubs. I decide to find the call here for 80 bucks and let's take a flop. When the flop comes 4-3-3, I start with a check. I have two overcards and the front door club draw, so I'm loving life, and Brandon chooses a small sizing here of 50 bucks. Obviously, I put in the call, and the turn comes the ace of spades. I check it over to Brandon once again, and to my surprise, he checks behind. I would expect him to continue betting here, given the fact he was a pre-flop 3-better. He's gonna have ace king, aces, ace queen, whereas I really shouldn't have too much of that. He definitely has the range advantage on this turn. Surprisingly though, Brandon checks behind, and the river gives me a pair coming the 9 of spades. I don't see any point in leading out here. Brandon's a good player. He could have gotten a little bit tricky on the turn and checked behind with a strong ace, or maybe kings or queens that would definitely call my bet here on the river. So when I check it over to him and he fires out for 125, I debate going for a check raise, trying to turn my hand into a bluff. Sometimes you gotta wave the white flag. I had a ton of cards on the turn turn or river that could have improved me to a flush, but it's just not in the cards. The poker gods want me to have an uphill battle the rest of this session. For what it's worth, Brandon later told me in the session that he had pocket aces, so he checked on the turn because he made top full house. That's a great play by him. It almost got me to put more money in on the river, but I made a great fold and I saved another 125 bucks. All right, I raise up 9-7 of diamonds from the small blind and George calls from the button. George is an OG here at the fort, someone who's always a pleasure to play poker with and someone you always want to see at your table. George is a legend, and let's see if I can take some of his chips. I lead out for 20 bucks on a Queen Jack 5 rainbow board, and George is a sicky player. He puts in the call. The turn gives me an open-ended straight draw on the 10 of clubs, and the action goes check, check, bringing in the ace of spades on the river. So now I find myself with just 9 high. George called me on the flop. Maybe he has a hand that contains a jack or a queen. Either way, I'm going to represent this ace and try to get him to fold a better hand. After all, it's not too hard for him to have a better hand than 9 high. I fire out for 75 bucks. He postures for a second, but then does exactly what we wanted him to do. Good job, George. Fold your cards, and we are taking down a $161 pot. Bringing us into the next hand where I pick up the ochos, my second favorite hand here from the +1, and I make it $15 to go. LC on my direct left makes it $60. He 3-bets me pretty large, and normally that's a sign of strength, and it might still be, but I have pocket 8s. I want to go set mining here. We're playing pretty deep in this 1-3 game, and if I can spike an 8 and he has an overpair, well, we're gonna play for stacks. I put in the call and the flop is not groovy. It comes king, king 7 with 2 diamonds, and I check it over to LC. Surprisingly, he doesn't go for a small bet on this paired board. Instead, he checks behind, bringing in the 6 of clubs on the turn. No point in me leading out into LC. I'd rather go into check call mode, which is exactly what happens when he bets out for $60 once again. Of course, I'm gonna put in the call, bringing in a bad card, the queen of clubs on the river. He could have been bluffing on the turn with ace queen offsuit or suited and now made second pair, but we're gonna find out. I check it over to LC. He checks behind. Maybe he has some showdown value. I turn over my 8s and he turns over the bullets. We are running into pocket aces left and right here. I can't catch a break. He checked flop, which makes sense. Bets turn. I think he needs to bet the river, but maybe we saved a little bit of money. Off to the next hand we go. Ace 10 offsuit from the hijack. There's a $6 straddle on, so I'm gonna go large here for 30 bucks. We're gonna get called in a few spots here, bringing us off to a king 8-7 2 diamond board. I lead out for 40 bucks, and we're gonna get called in one spot now. Off to the turn we go heads up, which comes the queen of hearts. When I bet the flop and just get called, I don't really think my opponent's gonna have a set or 2 pair, which means this queen is gonna help me more than it helps him.
You just look so perplexed over there. Like, see what kind of face you make here.
I lead out for 105 bucks, and look at his face. He's thinking about what to do, putting him in a tough spot here, which is the goal. If he has a diamond flush draw, maybe he's gonna call, maybe he's gonna fold. I think straight draws just fold at this point, and luckily we get the good news. He tosses his cards into the middle, which means we're taking down this pot with ace high. It seems like the only pots I can win tonight are the ones where I'm bluffing against George and the opponent in the last hand. I guess I'm gonna have to keep that in mind for the rest of the session. And then in this next hand, I pick up queen 10 of hearts and make it $20 to go over a bunch of limps. I'm in the big blind, and 4 other players put in the call, which means we're going 5 ways to a flop. I guess if it's good for 3 bucks, it's good for 20 here in Aledo, Texas, and we flop ourselves 2 pair on a 10-8-8 rainbow board. I bet out for $45, and only Shane puts in the call. Heads up to the turn we go, which comes the 9 of hearts, giving me a gut shot straight flush draw. It's no royal draw, but I'll take the straight flush draw, $193 in the middle, and when Shane calls me on the flop, it's likely he has a 10 or possibly even an 8. So I check it over to Shane, and he now bets out for 80 bucks. If I didn't have top pair myself, I probably would go for a check raise, but given the fact I have some showdown value here to go along with my flush draw, I just call. The river now comes the 3 of diamonds, and I check it over to Shane to see what he does, and now he bets out for 125 bucks. I would expect him to shut down on the river after I call him on the turn with anything that doesn't have me beat, so I think he's value betting a better 10, or more likely than that, he definitely has an 8. I really want to find the call here and just see what he has. has, but I don't think that's going to help me in this challenge. It sucks because I have top pair and I had a flush draw on the turn, but I just don't think he's value betting worse here, and I windmill my cards into the muck. Was this a bad fold? It does seem a little bit tight, but the hands he's representing all have me smoked, and $478 is Shane's reward. All right, I'll try not to make any more tight folds in this video unless I absolutely know I'm smoked. I put the $6 straddle on from the button. There's a raise to 25 and a call. I decided to defend my straddle after all. Those are my soldiers out there. I don't want them to go down in vain, and we see a flop here 3 ways, which comes Jack 7 deuce with 2 diamonds. The action checks through, bringing in the deuce of clubs on the turn, and the action checks over to me once again. I probably should go for a bet here. I just have 10 high. I do have a flush draw, but I can get some king highs, some ace highs to fold if I start piling some money in the middle. I bet out for Cinco de Mayo and we get 1 fold, but when the action's on the low jack, who goes by local pro, he finds the call and off to the river we go, which is a brick. It comes the queen of hearts. Insert fart noise on that river, Lucas. What a disaster river card. I really wanted to spike a club and try to win a big pot versus a 7, a jack, or maybe a pocket 10, pocket 9 type of hand. But it's not to be. I'm left with just 10 high and a decision when he checks it over to me. Unfortunately though, I decided to check behind, and I was wrong because he turns over ace king and looks over at me with surprise when I muck my cards. I have no choice but to. Wolfgang, what are you doing? You gotta find that bet on the river. I would have picked up 190 bucks. After that last hand, I decided to table change over to Katie's table. She limps in for 3, the player to my right limps. I'm on the button and raise it up to 20 bucks. Katie puts in the call, and the player to my right folds, which means we're heads up with Katie in the low jack on a king jack 10 2 diamond board. The action goes check check on the flop. I have top pair, backdoor diamonds, front door straight draw. A lot of good things here, and I want Katie to put the money in the middle. So when I check behind on the flop and the turn comes the king of hearts, Katie now fires out for 30 bucks, and I'm sticking to the plan, just calling here. Hopefully I can get the rest of her stack in on the river. The river now comes the queen of clubs. Bang, we river a boat. Katie slows down and checks. I fire out for 170 bucks, and she doesn't think about it for even a second. She snap calls, no respect for me. I turn over the boat. Katie, what do you have? King 5 of clubs. She made top pair on the turn. That's no good. 447 bucks is coming over my way, and if you thought that hand was sick, you're gonna love the last hand of the night, where there's a raise to 20 bucks and a call from the button. I'm in the small one with king 10 of diamonds and make it $95 to go. The original raiser calls and the button calls as well. We're going 3 ways to a flop, which comes no less than king 9, 2 hearts. Bang, we flop 3 of a kind. There's 288 in the middle, and I bet out small here for 45 bucks. You might be thinking, Wolfgang, there's 2 hearts out there. You should probably go a little bit larger, but if someone has a heart flush draw, they're not gonna fold for any price for that matter, so I'd rather just see a clean turn card and then start piling money in the middle. We get a fold from the original pre-flop raiser, but the button puts in the call. He goes by James. He's gonna be the villain in the rest of this hand. The queen of diamonds peels off on the turn, and there's 378 in the middle. I start cutting out some chips and decide to only go for $55, which induces James to go for a raise now up to 175 bucks. Oh boy, does he have pocket queens? Does he have a better king? 9's full. Does he have a nut flush draw? There's so many different hands he could have in this spot, but of course, I'm going nowhere. With 3 of a kind, I put in the call, and the river comes something you guys would never expect. The king of clubs peels off. Bang! It seals his fate. We have quads. We can't lose this hand. Patrick the dealer, please have given James pocket 9s, pocket queens, something like that. I want him to have jack 10 in this spot. We need to make all of the money. $728 in the middle. What do you do? James raised on the turn, so logic would say check it over to him. But with 3 kings out there, it's possible that he would just check behind. So I think I need to go for a bet here, and I don't think I need to go very large. I fire out for $200, and he windmills his cards face up. That's a fold. Unfortunately, we're not going to get paid when he has pocket 9s for a counterfeit full house. How is that possible? What a run out. Patrick the dealer, the river rat, pulls out the king of clubs to give me this $928 pot and basically save our $100 an hour challenge in the very first session.
You'll see this in a month.
It's been 84 years.
I don't think our session could get any better than that. I decided to rack up my chips and head over to the cage after a 5-hour and 40-minute session for a profit of $272 or $48 an hour. I'm tracking my profits on the Stack app, so make sure to go download it and follow me there if you want to track my progress the rest of this challenge. Make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. You can click on other videos at the Fort Card Room here. If you like this one, good luck on the felt, you guys, and I'll catch you very shortly in the next video. Peace!